Excellent.
What's
Good.
up? What's up? What can we do for you?
Well, basically, I've been trying to do some video podcasting, and I have explored the wide world of programs that you can use to do that, and I'm having a problem getting my RSS feed correct, especially when I'm trying to get it onto iTunes. I've done it one time before and got it correct, and I haven't been able to duplicate that effort again.
Yeah, I remember when Apple's iTunes 4.9 first came out. It was exactly a year ago. And Apple, in their infinite wisdom, decided that they wanted to add to the standard tags for podcasts their own special tags. And they didn't document it very well, and they made it very difficult. And it's really taken all of us a long time to figure out how to make your feed work. Let me explain. Let's step back and explain what you're doing so that people understand what we're talking about. He's making a video show. It could be an audio show. It doesn't really matter. What makes it a podcast or a video podcast is you've got the show on a site to download. Of course, people could go there and download it directly. But you've also got what's called an RSS feed. This is a little text file that describes all the episodes and tells people where to get it. They can use a program, an RSS reader or a podcast client or iTunes, to download, check that file periodically to see if there's a new show. And if there is a new show, that file will say, here's where you get it, and their program will go out and get it. So it's a way to, in effect, subscribe to a podcast. That's really all a podcast is. It's just kind of an automatically downloaded audio or video file. So the feed becomes very important. You know, you make the audio file and edit it and you put it on a website, or you make your video and you put it on a website. You're only halfway there. You've got to have a feed that works. And of course, since about 80% of all users use iTunes to download podcasts, it darn well better work in iTunes. So you say you've used software, and that's what I would recommend. I use a program. I use it on the Mac, of course. So you're a Windows user, right?
Actually, I do have both, so I have availability of both.
In my opinion, the clear winner in this category is from Reinvented Software. Let me just type it, Reinvented Software. It's called Feeder. You can try it free for 30 days. It's not very expensive. They don't have a Windows version. I highly recommend it. It's how I use what I use to create all my feeds.
Okay.
So this is a standalone. I have to explain. Some people like, for instance, Amber's Command N. They don't have to create a feed. They put it up on a. You use WordPress or some blog site, right? Typepad.
Yeah.
And it automatically makes a podcast feed.
Yeah, we have feeds as well, but we use feeds. We use FeedBurner.
Oh, you use FeedBurner.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another way to. Okay, well, I'll show you FeedBurner. So that's another way to do it. But what FeedBurner does is it looks at the Typepad page and generates a feed from it. You can also use, if you use WordPress or other blogging software, it can create a feed. I don't do that. I'm actually working my way towards doing that. We're building the Twit site, a Drupal engine to make these feeds. Right now, I hand code my feeds in Feeder. It's really handy. So you'll have your feed. You can create a new item. It has all of the iTunes extensions. Does a very good job with it. And you just fill in the fields, and it creates the feed. It gives me absolute control of what's in my feed. Now, I like absolute control. For instance, I put elaborate show notes in my feeds, lots of links and stuff like that. So Feeder is a very good choice. If you're Windows only, there is a similar program. Actually, this is Windows and Mac, called Feed for All at feedforall.com. It's the best Windows choice. I don't consider it quite as good as Feeder. That's why I use Feeder. I bought both, and I ended up using Feeder on the Mac. But if you're a Windows only guy, Feed for All. Again, these are by hand programs that you fill in fields to create the feed. Now, Amber does it automatically, and I don't blame her, using a company called FeedBurner. This is absolutely free. What FeedBurner does is they'll look at now this wouldn't work for me. It would only work if you had your posts on a blog that FeedBurner could understand with its own RSS feed. Because essentially what FeedBurner does is it takes an existing feed and turns it into a podcast feed. So if in your blog post you have an MP3 file or an MOV or a AVI or WMV file, it will actually turn it into a podcast feed. So that's why, and you don't have any really control over what it's going to do with that feed. It does a good job, does the iTunes Write. In fact, the first people that got iTunes Write were using FeedBurner. So there's 3 ways to do it. My personal choice, Chris, Feeder. No doubt about it. That's what I use.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the call. What's your podcast?
Well, right now it's just called Kelso.
What's it going to be about?
You know what? I have a very interesting life and always catch very interesting videos and that kind of good stuff. So I just want to put up some fun stuff that I get in my